10 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's it. Don't go through it. Do it at the top. 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. So happy I just got finished doing my hair. Done, 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 done. Woo! It's all pinned up now, but at least it's done. Whew. Good morning. I am ready to get this day started so that I can be doing something fabulous. Boo! Hey everybody, welcome back to Pinky Hooks. I'm Shania Lancaster and I am going to be showing you how to do 3 different versions of the double crochet cluster stitch. Yep, they really are different. So we have version 1. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. We have the second version, which looks extremely similar to that. I know you're like, that's the same thing. Nope, there is just a slight difference, and I can't wait to show you. And then we have Mama's favorite. Ooh, come here. Oh my God. She is so classy. Look at that. I'm just in love with the third version. Yep. I'm going to show you how to do all 3. But before we get started, for those of you who are returning, I want to say thank you. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, but you do like what you see, or even if your curiosity is piqued just a smidget, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and then hit the notification bell so that you can get all updates of any new tutorials that I will be putting out in the near future. All right. So let's get started because I cannot wait to show you what's going on with especially 1 and 2. But let's just take one more look. Ooh, oh my God. Oh, I'm so happy with this stitch. Okay, enough of that. Grab your hook and any kind of scrap yarn and let's get started. So again, we're going to start with the double crochet cluster, the stitch 1, that version. It is done in a multiple of 2, so any even number for your chain will do, okay? I've chained up 18. So basically what we're about to do is start the first row. This is a 1-row repeat, okay? The first row, we are going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, okay? And right here in that 3rd chain, you are going to yarn over, insert hook, pull up a loop, okay? Yarn over, pull through only 2, okay? You are going to then skip the next stitch. We already have something in this. Skip the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and once you have 3, you're going to yarn over again, pull through all 3, and then to complete it, you will chain 1. That is your first cluster. Again, yarn over. Now, when I say again, I'm sorry, we are going to go back into this first one where we stop the last cluster. That's how you will begin every cluster. It'll get tricky because in your mind you're going to say, oh, I'm just going to skip and go. No, you're going to go right back into where you left off. So think about your beginning is your end, or your end is your beginning. Okay, so again, yarn over, we go right back into that exact stitch where we left off. You pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2. Now you are going to go ahead, skip the next stitch, and you're going to go into this one, yarn over, pull up a loop, oh, sorry, yarn over, insert hook, there we go, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 3, complete it by chaining 1. There you go. Again, yarn over, you go into the same stitch where you last left off, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, stop at 2, skip the next stitch, go into this guy, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3. You want to complete it by chaining 1. Okay? Not too bad, right? Again, yarn over, go back into that same stitch where you left off, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, stop, yarn over, skip a stitch, go into the next, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through all 3, and then chain 1. Okay, so what I would like for you to do is to finish and stop right here when you get to the second to last, and then I'll come back and show you how to finish that. Okay, so we're coming up to the end of the chain. Okay, basically, if you count back 1, 2, 3, 4, this is where I had started to begin a new set of clusters from right here. Okay, so we went back in, and I have 2 loops on my hook. So we're still going to continue what we have been doing. We're going to skip that stitch, and we're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 3, finish it off with a single crochet. Okay, and now as you can see, right, I have 1 stitch left. So this is like, I know you're like, okay, well, we didn't begin again. No, you're not going to begin again, because this is it. You're done. You're done right there. Okay, you are just going to go ahead and simply put in a single, I mean not a single, a double crochet in that last stitch. That's it. So basically what happens is when you come to the end, right, you're only going to put 1. You're not putting in another 1 right here next to the last. Yeah, I know that seems a little bit confusing. So let's just look, I'm gonna pull out let's stretch this out. So remember, in begin, right? You skipped a stitch right there, and then you went to put in that last 1. We're at the end of the chain. So normally you would have just put in this one, right? Remember? And skipped a stitch, and then you would have started over again. But that's the reason why next to the last, you have this guy right here. He's the standalone guy. It's just the way it is. It's a harsh reality, but he's standing by himself. Oh well. Okay. Let's continue. And it'll start making sense to you the further we go along. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to do is turn our work. We're going to begin row 2, which is what we will continue to do from this point out. You will chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and what you're going to do is you're going to go back in this very first stitch, not in the space, but in the very stitch where you just chained 3. You're going to yarn over, and you're going to begin the cluster series. You're going to pull up a loop, okay, just like we were doing, pull through 2, stop, and now what you're going to do is you're going to skip this stitch. Okay, now the yarn that I'm using is cotton, and it does split, but I want you to see, you see right there, that's the stitch you're going to skip. And now you're going to go in, yarn over right here, pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 3, okay, and complete it by chain in one. Remember, you go back in where you left off, yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through two, yarn over, skip a stitch right there, okay? If you turn your work, you can see it. And then go into the next, pull up a loop. Let me get some more yarn. Go through two, go through three, finish it off with chain one. Again, in the same stitch, pull up a loop, go through two, yarn over, skip a chain, right? Turn it if you have to, but skip a chain and go into the next one that you just skipped. Go through two and go through three. Finish it off, single crochet, skip a chain, right? Oh, sorry. See, this is what I'm talking about. I was ready to go through, and that's what I'm saying. You want to start going fast, but then you will, like, if you start picking up speed, unless you just got this carpal tunnel focused mind, you know, which I get tired because I work a lot, and so I will forget. So again, right where I left off, you're going to go in here, pull up a loop, go through two, yarn over, skip a chain, right, and go into the next one after you skipped it, pull up a loop, go through two, go through three, finish it off. So go ahead, and what we're going to do is continue, do a couple of rows, see how you feel about it. You may need to rewind this so that you can see, you know, like if you need to remind yourself, rewind it. And basically you are going to just keep repeating row two once you complete row one. And I'll meet you back here so we can take a look at our swatch together. So I have finished my first swatch, all right. And I am just going to go ahead and cut this one. And I'm going to change colors so that I can show you the next version of this stitch. Okay, look at that. And it's just a little swatch. So that way when I am going through swatches for projects, that's what I do. I keep my swatches for projects because I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't done anything with that stitch. So remember, this is the double crochet cluster stitch one, first version. Okay, are we ready to move on to the second version? Sure we are. All right. Again, once you have your desired length, okay, remember in a multiple of the twos, we will start this the exact same way that we started the first version. You will skip two, one, two. You will yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through two, yarn over, skip the next stitch. We already have something in this one. Skip the next stitch, go into this one right here, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through two, go through three, and chain one. Okay, so basically refer back to the first version that we already did for the double crochet cluster stitch one. We are starting exactly, is nothing different, the exact same way. Continue all the way down, and I will remind you what to do when we get to the last two or three or two stitches. Okay, I'll meet you back in a second. So again, we're coming down to the end. Remember, I just finished my last set here, and then I went ahead and then that's the last man standing once I skipped the chain. Okay, remember? So I started where I left off, okay? And then I went over here, I skipped the chain and completed this stitch. I mean, it's just an ongoing, it's like a community, right? So remember, this is the last standing. You want to yarn over and do your double crochet in that last stitch, and do it loose on the ends because you want to stretch that yarn. So do it loose. Don't do it as tight as you've been going, and that way you will stop that curling once you turn. So we're going to begin the second row. Now, this particular version, which remember we're on the second version, this is a 2-row repeat. And the crazy thing is, it's nothing hard and it's almost nothing significant once you start doing this, because you'll start looking at it like, I really don't see what the difference is. But I wanted to teach it to you anyway and give you that option. Okay, so we're at the end. We are turning around, and all we're going to do is chain up 1. And from this point on, for the second row, after you chain your 1, we are going to do a single crochet into all of the chain 1 spaces. Now, they may not be as, like, it's kind of hard to see, but you're going to have to remember where you chain 1. So let's do a quick recap. Turn your work back over first. All right. You know how every single time when you would start where you ended, what did you do? You had to do a chain 1. That's a chain 1. Look, that's a chain 1. That's a chain 1. Okay. So when we had got to the end and we left the last man standing, we did a chain 1 and then we did a double crochet. So let's go back. When you turned your work, you chain up 1. You skip this first stitch, and then look, the chain 1 is right there. It's basically this hole. So you're going to do a single crochet. Okay. You chain 1. Okay. Find the next chain 1 space, right? Which is right here. Not here, here. Do a single crochet, chain 1. Find your next space, which is right there. Single crochet, chain 1. And you're going to continue this all the way, and I'll meet you at the end. So I just made a single crochet into that last chain 1 space. We skip this stitch, and now you are at the end. Pull it apart. You're at the end, and that's where you're going to do a single crochet on the very top of your turning chain, not this guy right here. Okay, I know it's confusing, especially since I'm using cotton yarn. The cotton yarn that I'm using splits really bad, but I love it for dish towel. So anyway, you're going to do that single crochet at the top of your turning chain. Oh, is that in? That is in. It almost looks like it's not, but it's in there. All right. All right, and that's row 2. You turn your work, okay, and this is what it looks like. So again, we are now going to do the third row, okay, which is going back to the double cluster crochet stitch itself. Okay, so when you turn after you have done your row of single crochets, remember you have to chain up 3. Okay. And again, we work right back into that first stitch where the chain 3 is. You yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, skip. Okay, skip that. I'm sorry with this yarn. You might have to turn it over. Okay. Go into the next stitch after you skipped. Pull up a loop, draw through 2, draw through 3, chain 1. Again, yarn over. My stitches are tight from my chain, my single crochets. Go back into that same stitch that you just got finished doing. Pull up a loop, pull through 2, yarn over. Okay. Skip the next stitch, which would be this one right here. Go into this one. Pull up a loop, go through 2, go through 3, chain 1. Okay. All right. And I have sometimes, I mean, I really have to check myself, because this is the reason why you need to check your gauge, because I tend to start off the first couple of stitches nice and tight, and I don't mean to, and then I'm like, oh, it's too tight, and then I start loosening up. But anyone who crochets, or if you even knit, we all know how important it is to pay attention to our tension, you know, how tight we're doing this, okay? So, I mean, I'm just going to claim it. That's what I am. I'm a tight crocheter. All right. So again, we just completed this. So we're going to go back into this same stitch, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, okay, skip a stitch, and complete. And you're going to continue to do this to the end. So that's pretty much, and I'm going to meet you back at the end just to remind you what you need to do to transition back to the second row, okay? We're coming to the end again of row 2. So here I worked in the space. I'm going to chain 1. This is nothing. And we are going to work a single crochet into the top of this turning chain, right? So the top, don't go through that space. Sometimes it gets a little tight. And do your single crochet, right? Keep it loose at the end and turn your work, all right? One more time. We are back to row 3. We want to chain up 3. 1, 2, 3. You work into that first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, skip a stitch, pull up a loop, go through 2, go through 3, and chain 1, and continue through all the way through. And then we're going to clip off this yarn, and we're going to compare. I hate to see, and I don't like that hole, but then again, I didn't have that on my swatch, and I really think it's because of the cotton yarn that I'm using. But we're going to go through and we're going to compare and see if you can tell the difference between version 1 and 2. I'll meet you back after you work up a couple of rows. So here we are. We are done with this version. Remember, this is the second version, okay? All right. So now you'll see why I wanted to do them in 2 different colors. Here is the first one, right? Very nice. And here is the second one. I personally cannot see any difference. Let's do it like that, side to side. I can't. The only thing that I can see that would stand out would be the fact that you see how when you go to the next row, because of that the single crochets, right? And then I guess it stands out more. Like, I'm trying to flip it on the back side, so maybe we can see some difference. I just don't see it. I don't see it, but I mean, I don't know. I just don't think anybody's going to use version 2. But anyway, so now we get to do the last version that stands out the most, okay? Are we ready? Good. Grab a different color if you want. So you may not even have to do that, but I'm going to do a different color just so that it really pops. And then when we have all 3, and you'll be like, yeah, that first and last are definitely the ones that you can tell the difference, okay? Meet you back here when I get my yarn. Okay, so once you get your even number of stitches, we are going to skip 3 chains. So 1, 2, 3. This one doesn't count. 1, 2, 3. Skip those 3. And what you're going to do is you are going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay? we're going to yarn over again and go right back into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and now pull through all 3. This is what crocheters call like a double crochet together, okay? We are not going to chain 1. We are going to do the same process in every stitch to the end, okay? So begin again, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go back into that same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, and now go through 3, okay? I would advise to be very conscious of your tension, because this one does have a tendency to curl, okay? And if you look, I had to catch myself because at the beginning of this chain it was nice and tight, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, let me loosen up, because I remember what happened, okay? Again, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go back into that same stitch, pull through 2, pull through 3. Okay, again, you don't chain 1, you just keep doing the same thing. You yarn over one more time, go through, pull up a loop, go through 2, yarn over, pull up a loop, go through 2, and now go through 3. Yeah, and so we're going to do this all the way down, okay? Get down to that last 2 stitches and stop at that second stitch. Do not do the same process in the last stitch yet, okay? And I'll meet you back. So when you get to the end of the chain, you should have 1 stitch after you did your last set of clusters, right? And all you're going to simply do is put in 1 traditional double crochet into that very last stitch, right? Do it very loose and you'll see why. So pull up your loop nice and tall, stretch it out, and there you have it. That's the first row. And see what happened? Because I did, and I know you're saying, no, you just have too many stitches. No, ma'am. No, sir. I do not have too many stitches. My problem is that right there, and you can actually see where it starts to curve, because in the foundation chain, I told you I did it way too tight. But see, you can also see where I start to loosen up. You see what I mean? There's no curve. So that, that's what I did wrong. And now I'm going to have to work it out by completely being totally loose when we go to the next row. So again, we're going to turn our work. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to do is begin the cluster work again. We are going to do a cluster in between the first double crochet and the next set of clusters. So right here in this space, not in the chain, in between. So yarn over, go in between, pull up a loop, pull it nice and tall, go through 2, yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop nice and tall, pull through 2, and now you pull through 3, and voila, you finished your first cluster. You will do the same thing. This is where you have to pull your work apart, because you're working in between the clusters. You're not working in the middle of each cluster, right? This is a group. These 2 together are 1 cluster. So you will start here. Yarn over, go in between those groups. Okay, pull up a loop nice and tall. There you go. Again, pull your work. Skip those guys. Go in between the neighbors. Pull through 2, yarn over, Go back in. Okay. And that's what you're going to continue to do. And so when we get to the end, close to the end, maybe the last 2 stitches, that's where I'm going to meet back with you. And we're going to see how we finish this row and then continue on, okay? Okay, so we're coming upon the end, all right? I have 1 space left. I'm going to do my cluster in between. Okay, and right here you're not going to put in a cluster because then your work will fan out, okay? Because basically what you will be doing is increasing your gauge. Don't use this guy. We are just going to do 1 double crochet into the top of the turning chain. That's it. Don't go through it. Do it at the top. Remember what I said on the ends. Try to do it loose so that you won't have this tight curl, right? And that's it. And you're going to continue to do that. Oh my goodness. Look. Even with this crazy cotton yarn. Oh, I just love it. Ooh. Ooh, see? Don't do. I mean, like, I'm the instructor and I want to say do as I say. But don't do this. Don't stitch real tight when you're beginning chain. Oh, the joys of crocheting, right? So again, once we turned our work, we chain up that 3. Was that 3? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Boop, boop, boo, boo, boo. Okay. You don't go in that stitch. You go in between that double crochet with your cluster and between the double crochet and then your first set of clusters, right? So you go back in. And that's it. Do a couple of rows and I'll meet you back here and then we can look at all 3. Okay, so here is my finish swatch for the double crochet cluster stitch 3. This is version 3. And I want to let you guys in on a secret. This is the correct way to do it, as I showed you. And when I first introduced you in the beginning, y'all know how smitten I was with this. Do you know that this is actually a beautiful mistake? You know what the difference is between the two? When I first made this swatch, okay, before I started filming, I still did the clusters the exact way, right? But I wasn't going in between each one. I was doing each cluster on top. I don't know if you could see that. See, that's not in between. See, there's nothing in between. So it gives it an entirely, look at that. I mean, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful mistake, right? Isn't that cool? But this is the way that we are supposed to do this. And so I discovered it, and I don't want to cover up my mistakes because, again, I'm all about us growing together. Yes, I am an instructor, but hey, everyone makes mistakes. And sometimes mistakes, as we can see, you know, they just turn out to be absolutely beautiful. So guess what? I'm going to embrace this because I like this, but I like this. So let's wrap up. Here we have the double crochet cluster stitch 1, boop, boop, boo. Stitch 2, da, 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 da. And still my favorite, stitch 3, look, with a bonus of who knew that a mistake could be beautiful. Okay, but remember, this is the proper way to do the double crochet cluster stitch 3. So 1, 2, 3. And so with that being said, I do plan on using more than likely this guy and this little humble mistake of mine in a future video. I believe I probably will make some type of women's apparel with it. But you can use these stitches for anything. Let me know in the comments what you would like to use one of these, if not all. What kind of projects would you like to try to do these stitches in? Okay, they are very versatile. I appreciate every everyone for stopping by. Okay. And again, if you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. And leave me a comment. Let me know how you like this tutorial. You know, we're all learning and growing together. That's the best thing about this. And so until next time, ba-da-da-da-da. Isn't that McDonald's tune? Y'all see where my mind is at. Anyway, let me know what you're going to do. And I will see you guys next time, all right? God bless. Thank you.